हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा सर प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, Prabhus and Matajis, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
दंडवत प्रणाम माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam to all devotees.
दंडवत प्रणाम माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
ललित प्रिया माता जी, we can start with the kirtan.
Yes, Prabhuji. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। जय राधा माधवा, जय कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभा, जय गिरिवर धारी, जय गिरिवरधारी, जय यशोदानंदना, जय व्रज जन रंजना, जय यमुना तीर वनचारी, जय कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधवा, जय कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव राधे, जय प्रभुपदा, जय प्रभुपदा, जय प्रभुपदा, श्रीला प्रभुपदा। श्री श्री राधा माधव की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Now this is a song that was requested by Charuchandra Prabhuji long time ago. Sorry, there was a delay, I couldn't prepare it. So this class, I thought we will prepare this song and sing it. So sing the song. This is from Jaiva Dharma. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu Nityananda Gadai Advaita Chandra Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, अपार करुणा सिंधु वैष्णव ठाकुर, मोहिन पामरे दया कर प्रचुर। अपार करुणा सिंधु वैष्णव ठाकुर, मोहिन पामरे दया कर प्रचुर। जाति विद्या धन जने मदे मत जाने, उदार कर हे नाथ कृपा वितरणे। जाति विद्या धन जाने मदे मत जाने, उदार कर हे नाथ कृपा वितरणे। कनक कामिनी लोभ प्रतिष्ठा वासना, चादया शोध मोरे ये मोर प्रार्थना। कनक कामिनी लोभ प्रतिष्ठा वासना, चादय शोध मोरे ये मोर प्रार्थना। नामे रुचि जीवे दया वैष्णवे उल्लास, दया करी दे हो मोरे ओ हे कृष्ण दास नामे रुचि जीवे दया वैष्णवे उल्लास दया करी दे हो मोरे ओ हे कृष्ण दास तोमार शरण छाया एकमात्र आशा जीवने मरणे मात्र अमर भरसा तुम्हारे चरणे छाया एकमात्र आशा जीवने मरणे मात्र अमर भरसा अपार करुण सिंधु वैष्णव ठाकुर मोहे न पमारे दया कर प्रचुर मिचे माया वशे संसार सागरे पदियाची लामा करुणा करिया दिया पद छाया आमारे तारिले तुम्ही सुन सुन वैष्णव ठाकुर तोमार शरणे संपयाची माता मोर दुःख करदो सुन सुन वैष्णव ठाकुर तोमार शरणे संपयाची माता मोर दुःख करदो जातिर्गौरे केवल गौरव विद्या से अविद्या कला सोदिया माया निताय चरण संपहे जौक ज्वाला संपहे जौक ज्वाला संपहे जौक ज्वाला तोमार कृपाय अमर जीवाय स्फुरत जुगलना काहे कालिदास आमार हृदय जगुक श्री राधाश आमार हृदय जगुक श्री राधाश जगुक श्री राधाश जय जय श्री राधे श्याम जय जय वृंदावन धाम अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. Translation. O Shri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra, O Prabhu Nityananda, O Gadadhara, O Advaita Chandra, O devotees of Lord Gaura, O Vaishnava Thakura, O shoreless ocean of mercy, please be merciful to me, a fallen sinner. Master, please be merciful and deliver me, a person mad with pride in my birth, learning, and wealth. Please purify me of the desire for gold, women, and fame. That is my prayer. O servant of Lord Krishna, please be merciful and give me attraction for the holy name, mercy to the living entities, and happy association with the Vaishnavas. The shade of your feet is my only hope. Whether I live or die, you are my only shelter. When these words came to an end, Lahiri Mahashaya sang a prayer he had himself composed. I was in the grip of illusion. I had fallen into the ocean of birth and death. You were merciful to me. You gave me the shade of your feet. You rescued me. Please hear me, O saintly Vaishnava. Please hear me. Now I surrender to your feet. Please throw my sufferings far away. Pride of caste is hell. Material learning is ignorance. Please purify me and place me before Lord Nityananda's feet. Please extinguish the fire that burns within me. Please be merciful and place on my tongue the holy names of the divine couple. Kalidasa prays, please place Shri Shri Radha Shyam in my heart. Hearing this song, everyone became wild with happiness. Together they stood up. Again and again they sang, again and again singing the words, please place Shri Radha Shyam in my heart. They danced wildly. Again and again dancing, some Vaishnava became overwhelmed with spiritual love and fell unconscious. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much for the nice kirtana, and it was very, very nice. We heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and more of it we'll hear today in today's class. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Mayapur Dham also. I welcome all the devotees to the today's session. With this, let us start with the today's class. First, starting with the invocation prayers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunnilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamta Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Swagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bodhina Bantu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visavanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Cha Krupa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhyam Namo Namah. Yesterday we learned about the three deities of Sambandha, Videya, Prayojana. Let us offer obeisances to them also. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Surupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Jetam Surato Panga Ramama Mandamatirgati Bhaktarabatsva Padamboja Radha Bhadanam Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpatrumana Srimad Ratnangara Singhasana Stito Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtali Vishebhyamanam Smarami Sriman Rasarasarambi Vamsivat Tatastita Darsana Venu Svaner Gopire Gopinatha Sri Astuna Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Now we will offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Namo Mahapadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaurati Sinama. O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing the love of Krishna. We offer our obeisances unto you. Krishna Vannam Tisa Krishnam Sangopangastraparsadam Yagye Sankirtana Prayare Yayanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Shastra Vicharana Gaini Puno Sadharma Sanstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvana Manya Saranya Karau Radha Krishna Patara Vinda Vajanan Anandena Mattalikau Bande Rupa Sanatana Ragujiko Sri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the divine couple Sri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nashta Prayesu Avatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. With this, I welcome all the devotees to the today's session once again. We'll start with the today's class with the synopsis of yesterday's lesson 19.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. So, yesterday we did lesson 19. Lessons 18 to 20 are from chapters 13 and 14, which is about Nitya Dharma and Dashamula Tattva, evidence, truth, and the Lord's potencies. While the introduction to Dashamula Tattva and verses 1 and 2 were taken in lesson 18, yesterday we covered verses 3 and 4 of the Dashamula Tattva in lesson 19. Now the questions of Rajanatha continue from 24 to 32 in this lesson on the topics evidence, truth, and the Lord's potencies. The highlights of Dashamula Tattva verse 3 are: 1. Material changes cannot touch the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Lord and his spiritual potencies are non-different. He is situated in his own transcendental glory, and to fulfill his desires, he alone manifests his spiritual potency, his potency of the individual spirit soul and of inanimate matter. The highlights of Dashamula Tattva verse 4 are: in Vraja, Lord Krishna enjoys nectarian pastimes. He plays in the nectarian ocean of transcendental rasas, and he enjoys confidential aesthetic love through his Ladini Samvavit and Sandhini Shaktis. Now, coming to the questions of Rajanatha. His questions 24 to 28 form theme 1, which is about the conditioned soul. A conditioned soul will always be under illusion and will be unable to fathom the Lord's transcendental reality. Since Rajanatha is brainwashed by his Mayavadi philosophy of impersonal Brahman, he starts asking his questions. Question number 24. How can Lord be all-pervading with his average-sized form, which will make him stay at one place at a time? Thus, he may have faults and be conditioned by modes of material nature, making him not supremely independent. And how can these defects be removed from Lord Krishna? Raghunath Das Babaji answers, a conditioned soul's intelligence is materially polluted, so he cannot realize Lord Krishna's pure spiritual truth, as his doubts will always cloud his mind. The spiritual truth cannot be formless, unchanging, and inactive. Lord Krishna has no faults because he doesn't have a material body, like the conditioned soul. That makes him absolutely independent and unlimited in material space and time. Only by sadhu sangha and bhajan kriya can an individual soul understand the Lord's most beautiful body is indeed all-pervading. Due to one's past impious deeds, one becomes conditioned to think that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is limited and average-sized. Vrajanatha, question 25. Due to the limitations of time and space, how can the divine couple manifest their forms, features, pastimes, companions, homes, forest groves, etc.? Babaji answers, being the master of all potencies, Lord Krishna can make the impossible possible. If he wishes, he can bring his whole transcendental abode to the material world. Such is his power. Question 26. If Lord Krishna is so omnipotent and supremely independent, then why only few Jivatmas can experience his transcendental form, abode and pastimes? Why not all? Babaji answers, Lord's mercy only befalls on his sincere devotees. A pure bhakta receives divine vision to realize the spiritual transcendental form of the Lord through his Ladini Shakti, while the non-devotee is abstained by Maya as he is still impure and unsurrendered. Question 27. Then did not Lord descend to the material world to bestow impartial mercy to all? Answer. Lord's descent is of utmost auspiciousness as he reclaims his devotees. He is so merciful that just by pure sadhu sangha, he removes the lower modes of his devotees and places them in receptive sattva guna, due to which his devotee realizes Lord's spiritual transcendental form and pastimes, thereby greatly benefiting the conditioned souls. Question 28. Then, why is the supreme truth of Lord Shri Krishna not clearly mentioned in the Vedas? Babaji says, rather on every page of the Vedas, they are singing the glories of the Lord's pastimes, somewhere directly and somewhere indirectly. Chanting of the glories of impersonal Brahman and the Supersoul are just the examples of indirect indications. This was theme 1. Now question 29 to 32 form part of theme 2, which state that the 64 opulences are fully and eternally manifest in Lord Shri Krishna and no one else. Rajnath asks question 29. Then please tell me the position of the 5 worshipable deities, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Surya and Ganesha, and other demigods that are worshipped in the world. Most Brahmanas believe that Lord Shiva is the supreme truth and no one is higher to him. I am too born in such a Brahman family. Here Raghunath Das Babaji answers in context with the 4 entities. The first entity is the living entity. In the living entities, 50 qualities are present very minutely that fully manifest in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The second are the more evolved entities, and they are the demigods, and the chief of the demigods, Lord Shiva. Apart from these 50 qualities, 5 qualities like A, to be situated in the original position, B, to be omniscient, C, to be fresh and youthful always, D, to be Satchit Ananda, E, to be a mystic perfectionist. These qualities fully manifest in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but manifest partially in demigods like Lord Shiva. The third is Lord Narayana. Another 5 qualities like A, to be inconceivable, B, to generate innumerable universes from the body, C, being the original source of all the incarnations, D, to bestow liberation on killed enemies, and E, to attract even the self-satisfied. These are found in Lord Narayana and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they are not there in Lord Shiva. And the fourth is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna himself. Including these 60 qualities, there are 4 unique qualities of the Lord which are not there even in his incarnations and Lord Narayana. That is the Leela Madhurya, the Prem Madhurya, the Rupa Madhurya, and the Venu Madhurya. So these 64 qualities present fully and eternally in the Supreme Personality of Godhead that makes him the supreme truth and the ultimate goal of worship. Now, Rajnath asks question number 30. He asks, according to the Brahmanas, the Supreme is impersonal Brahman. The Supreme as impersonal Brahman has no potencies, and as Supreme Controller has potencies. What are the teachings of Vedas in this context? Answer. As per the Shvetas Avtara Upanishad, the Lord's potencies are manifested and evident in each and every feature of Lord. Lord is absolute with transcendental senses and can perform any function with any sense, unlike the conditioned living entity. Hence, no one is equal or greater to him. His potencies are multifarious. He is the first cause dominating the secondary causes. His Jiva Shakti is unborn and enjoys an unborn woman, that is the material nature, in three colors, that is the three modes like passion, goodness, and ignorance. Many children are the ingredients of these many material universes. The first Jivatma is the conditioned soul, and the second attains liberation after trying to enjoy the material, but finally renounces the material world. Lord's Maya Shakti is bewildering with its hymns, prayers, sacrifices, vows, etc. Thus, a conditioned soul only gets further trapped simply by studying the Vedas and fail to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the controller of this Maya Shakti and the creator of the material universes. Fifth, the impersonal Brahman too has a potency by which the material world was created. Although devoid of qualities, the Brahman by his potencies created the varied material world. And the most important, the creator of the cosmic manifestation, Supreme Personality of Godhead, knows each and every atom of this creation. He is the cause of all, but nothing is the cause of his appearance. He is super soul and master of all. Now, Rajanath asks question 31. If Lord Krishna is always with his potencies, and if everything is done by his potencies, then how can he be independent and how can his desires are always fulfilled? Babaji answers, the potencies are subservient to the will of the master. The potencies and the master are not separate. His Maya Shakti creates the material world. His Jiva Shakti creates many individual spirit souls. His Chitta Shakti creates the spiritual world. And Lord then steps back and remains untouched and unchanged. Lord never undergoes any material changes. Hence, the scriptures say that he is unaffected. And the last question of Rajanatha in this lesson is question 32. Is Radhika, Radharani, which of Lord's potencies is Sri Radharani? Babaji answers, Sri Radha is the original manifestation of Lord Sri Krishna's internal spiritual potency. The divine couple enjoys nectarian pastimes eternally and are different as well as non-different from each other. So from Sri Radha, two groups are manifested. In the first group, three kinds of Kriya Shakti are there. The Chitta Shakti, that is the Antarang Shakti, the Jiva Shakti, that is the Tathastha Shakti, and the Maya Shakti, which is the Bahiranga Shakti. And in the second group, there are three Shaktis, Ladini Shakti, Sandhini Shakti, and the Samavita Shakti. So here ends lesson 19, which is also part of chapter 14. So today Prabhuji will complete chapter 14 with lesson 20. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much for nicely bringing out the gist of what we heard yesterday. Now, today we will start lesson 20. As Mataji said, the balance portion of chapter 14. And we will be completing chapter 14 today. Today we will also be talking about the three the Shaktis, that is the Ladini, Sandhini, and Samvit. Before we start the class, I want to give an introduction to this aspect only, which was covered in the last slide of chapter 9, the lesson 19. Now, as you know, it has been told and Mataji has summarized, there are three functions of the Swarupa Shakti, Ladini, Sandhini, and Sambit. Now, Krishna remains perpetually immersed in the pranaya vikara of the Ladini Shakti. Now, because of the confidential bhavas which are evoked by Sambit Shakti, he is ever situated as Rasika Shekhara in relishing newer and newer rasas. And that supremely independent pastime prince, that is Lord Krishna, is ever drowned within the ocean of Brajarasa in his transcendental bliss in Vrindavana. And the purport of what I said is that the three aspects of Sorpa Sakti, that is the Hladini, Sandhini, and Sambit, they completely influence all the activities of Chit Sakti, Jiva Sakti, and Maya Sakti, which we discussed in the summary. Now the Hladini Sakti of Sorpa Sakti is Srimati Radharani, the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, who gives full transcendental bliss and enjoyment to Lord Krishna. Srimati Radhika is the embodiment of Mahabhava, and she gives happiness to Krishna in her own transcendental form, and she also eternally manifests 8 bhavas as the 8 principal sakhis who are direct extensions of her own Swarupa. There is no difference between the Ashtasakhis and Srimati Radhika. Now, besides that, she manifests her 4 different types of service modes as the 4 different types of Sakhis, namely, which we have learnt in the Radha Tattva classes, the Priya Sakhis, Priya Narma Sakhis, then Prana Sakhis, and Paramaprishta Sakhis. All these Sakhis are Nitya Siddha Sakhis within the transcendental realm of Braja. Now, the Sambit Sakti of Sorpa Sakti manifest all the various moods of the relationship. Now, Sandhini Sakti manifest everything in Braja that consists of water, earth, and such as the villages, forest, gardens, Girigovardhana, and all these pastime places of Lord Krishna. It also manifests all the other transcendental objects which are used in the pastimes, as well as the transcendental bodies of Radhika, Sri Krishna, the Sakhis, Sakhas, cows, Dasas, Dasis, everybody. Everybody is transcendental in Braja. And Sri Krishna is always engrossed in supreme bliss in the form of Pranay Vikara of Hladini Sakti. And though Sambit Sakti of his Parasakti, Krishna performs activities such as attracting the gopis by playing upon his flute, taking the cows for grazing, Rasalila and the other pastimes. Sri Krishna, who is Braja Bilasi, the enjoyer of the pastimes of Braja, always remains immersed in rasa, in his transcendental Dharma, which is manifested by the Sandhini potency. Amongst all the abodes of his pastimes, the abode of Braja pastimes, they are the sweetest. Now, let us go on to the next slide. As given here, the lesson 20 is, we'll be discussing large number of questions from 33 to 55, and the theme is the Lord's potencies. Let us go on to the next slide. Now, there are 3 themes in this. Theme 1, we'll be discussing question numbers 33 to 37. In this, the functions of Hladini, Sambit, and Sandhini Shaktis in the Jiva and the Maya Shakti. In theme 2, we'll be discussing question 38 to 41 and 44 to 50. In this Abhideya Tattva, or the science of devotional service, to realize the Lord's spiritual form and the Dhammas, that is the abodes. And in theme 3, we'll be discussing the questions 51 to 55 put forward by Brajanatha regarding Sri Vishnupriya as Lord Gauranga, internal potency. Now, let us straight away go to question number.
There's a theme 4 also. There's a theme 4 also. Notice the slide. You're not reading the slide. Go back to the slide. Please go back to the slide.
Yes. The revised one. Babaji resolves the additional doubts of Brajanatha and a final understanding of the Lord's potency. that we'll see. Then next, let us go on to the questions. First, we'll see the questions, then we'll see the answers. Now, we'll not go detail on these questions because they will again come during the answer. The 33, question 33 is how the Ladini Sambit and Sandhini Shakti, they work in the Jiva and the Maya Shakti. And question number 33, what Brajanatha is asking, if their activities are so easily explained, why are the Lord's potencies are called inconceivable? That means we cannot conceive them, we cannot think of them, we cannot realize them. What is the idea of this? Is this idea supported by the Vedas? What do the Vedas say about this? He is asking this. Then the next is, do the Vedas support that the Supreme Lord by his own will sometimes descends to the material world? Then 36, where do the Vedas say that the Supreme Lord is an ocean of nectar of transcendental mellows? And 37, if he has a form of the nectar of bliss, why can't the jivas not see him when he comes here? Why can't all the jivas see him, see his transcendental form for which he has come here? Then 42 is, why do the Tantrika Brahmanas say that the potency of Lord Shiva is the Adya or the original Shakti, that is Durga Devi? And 43 is, who is Durga Devi represented in Gokula? Now let us go one by one. All these questions. Now, as we learned in question number 33, basically what Brajanath is asking, he says, you have just explained that Sandhini, Samvit and Hladini, they are the manifestations of the Swarupa Shakti. You have also said that Jiva Shakti is an atomic part of Swarupa Shakti and that Maya Shakti is the reflection of Swarupa Shakti. Now kindly explain how the Sandhini, Samvit and Hladini tendencies act upon the Jiva and Maya Shakti. As we know, Jiva and Maya Shakti, they are also parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. Now, there are two portions of this. Within the left side, within the Jiva Shakti, an atomic fragment of the internal potency works. And on the right side, we'll see within the Maya Shakti, the fragment of internal potency also works. Now going into the fragment of internal potency which work in the Jiva Shakti, that is with the Jivas, the individual souls, the manifestation of the three Shaktis, the Hladini, Samvit and Sandhini Shakti, they are seen. The Hladini Shakti, what does it do? The Jiva's internal bliss of the impersonal Brahman. And that's why some individuals, they get totally immersed in the bliss of the impersonal Brahman. And they think that that is the highest. Then the Samvit Shakti, the Jiva's awareness of the impersonal Brahman, the impersonal aspect of the Brahman, that is realized by this Samvit Shakti. And the Sandhini Shakti, the atomic spiritual forms of the spirit soul, that is realized by the Sandhini Shakti. And what about the Maya Shakti aspect? Because the question was about the Jiva Shakti and Maya Shakti. Regarding Maya Shakti, the manifestation of the same three, the Hladini, Samvit and Sandhini, what are their functions? The Hladini Shakti brings in material happiness. And that's why when we are covered by Maya, we are totally immersed in material happiness and we forget the Supreme Lord Krishna. And what this Samvit Shakti is doing, material knowledge. Material knowledge, it is influencing us so much that we are trying to think that the impersonal aspect of the Lord is everything. That is the aspect of, that is the effect of material knowledge. And as we have learned today in the summary, the material knowledge is the cause of our downfall. And what Sandhini Shakti is doing, the 14 planetary systems and the external material bodies of the conditioned soul, they are taking place. The Lord, Lord Brahma, who is creating the secondary universe, he is creating the 14 planetary systems and the external material bodies of the conditioned souls. We have got the material body and our subtle body also. That is the thing, and that is happening because of the Sandhini Shakti of the Supreme Lord. Thus, we have seen that Jiva Shakti is the atomic potency of Swarupa Shakti, and all the three aspects of the Swarupa Shakti are present in a minute degree. Thus, the Madhini Vritti is always present in the Jiva in the form of spiritual bliss or Brahmananda, or the Samavita Vritti present in the form of Brahman Jnana, transcendental knowledge, and Sandhini Vritti is present in the Jiva minute form also. And this is what is happening. Then let us go on to question number 34. Now, question number 34 was, if their activities are so easily explained, why are the Lord's potencies called inconceivable? Is this idea supported by the Vedas? Now, how we can understand this? This is given here. Now, when considered individually, each feature gets easily understood. In contrast, when all the features are attempted together, they are beyond understanding. As we know, our material understanding is very, very limited. Our intelligence is very limited, especially in this Kali Yuga. It was much different in Satya Yuga. In Satya Yuga, when the spiritual master explained the Vedas without noting down, without doing any other action, the student used to remember everything. But this cannot happen. Our level of intelligence is so low. That's why when we take everything together, it becomes very, very complex and we cannot understand that. Then the next aspect is, in the material world, mutually contradictory qualities cannot coexist, as they would negate each other. But however, due to the inconceivable nature of Lord Krishna's potency, that in the spiritual world, all mutually contradictory qualities coexist in perfect harmony. He is far and near, inside and outside, unborn, yet he takes birth. All these things, they are explained very nicely in the various Upanishads, especially in the Isha Upanishad. We have seen the Lord is very far also. How very far? He is in his Golok Dharma, and it is very, very far from us, and he is very near. How near? He is sitting in within us as Paramatma only. That's how he is far and near. He is inside and outside. He is inside as Paramatma, outside in his spiritual realm, and he is in every atom of this universe. That's how he exists. The Lord is unborn. He is totally unborn, but he takes birth. Actually, his birth is known as appearance, and when he goes, it is the disappearance. But we call it as birth, like after a few days, for 5 days, Janmashtami is coming, the birthday of Lord Krishna. Actually, he appeared on that day. He still seems to be appearing, he is taking birth, but we know that he is totally unborn. He cannot take birth. And the third thing, Is this idea supported by the Vedas? Yes. Babaji Mahasaya is saying, yes, it is supported by the Vedas. We'll see the proofs here. The learned transcendentalists explain that God is the greatest. The greatest means there is nobody who is equal to him. There is nobody who can be greater than him. And then the God is the greatest, the original person. He is the origin. There was nobody before him. He only existed when nothing was there. And next, he has no material hands, but he can take everything. His hands, legs, his senses, everything is transcendental. He doesn't have any material tinge of any material thing in him. And he has no material legs, but he can travel faster than anyone. He has no material eyes, but he can see everything. See everything means from Golak Vrindavana, he can see what we are doing here. But we cannot see beyond a few kilometers. So that is the difference between the Supreme Lord and us. And he has no material ears, but he hears everything, whatever we say, whatever we shout, whatever we discuss, he comes to know. And he knows everything, but no one knows him. That is the beauty about him. He knows everything what is happening in not only our universe, but the multitude of universes. But none knows him, including the great rishis. If they know, they only know a small portion of that. That is given in the Svetasvatara Upanishad. Then the second aspect is the Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near. He is within everything, but he is outside of everything. This also we discussed. It is given in the Upanishad. And next is such a person must factually know that the greatest of all, who is unembodied, omniscient, and beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, is self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. That means all these adjectives, they can only be applicable to the Supreme Lord and nobody else, because nobody is equal to him, nobody is greater than him. And he has got all these things 100%. Others, somebody else may get a fraction of it. This is what is the difference between the Supreme Lord and the anybody else. And as we know, Lord Krishna has the most beautiful form, but at the same time, he is formless also, arupa. He has a transcendental form, transcendental murti, but he is present everywhere. He is always very active, and being unaffected, he performs no karma. No karma he performs like us, but still he is the son of Nanda Maharaj, even though he is unborn. He is simply a coward boy in Braja. And although he is worshipped by all others, and he has a human-like form and bhava, he is omniscient. And similarly, at one and the same time, he possesses all qualities, yet he has no qualities, nirvishesa. He is achintya, that is inconceivable. And at the same time, he is full of rasa. He is both limited and unlimited, that is limitless. And he is far away and he is very close. He is unaffected, and that is nirvikara, yet he is afraid of the sulking mood or apparent anger of the gopis. He fears them also. Then how far can we enumerate the infinite qualities, the variety of Krishna's qualities, such as all these? They may contradict each other, but they still exist with Krishna. Whereas in the material world, these things cannot happen. We cannot act like walking and not walking. or by having our existence near and far. All these opposite things we cannot ever think of. But for the Supreme Lord, it is highly possible. There is no doubt about it. Then let us go on to the next slide. That is the question number 35 of Brajanatha. Do the Vedas support that the Supreme Lord by his own will sometimes descend to this world? Do the Vedas accept that? Now, here we'll answer this in three parts. Do the Vedas accept this? Now, to this, the answer is Lord Shiva narrates to his consort Uma an incident that happened when Indra and the other demigods, they developed a false pride upon conquering the demigods. Because as we know, the demigods, they always fight with the demons, and demons are also as powerful as the demigods. And once after they conquered, they developed false pride, and this was known by the Supreme Lord who knows everything. And when he knew this, to break their pride, the Supreme Lord assumed a wonderful form and appeared before them. And placing a blade of grass before him, the Supreme Lord said, he told Agni Deva, burn this. With all his powers, Agni Deva attacked the blade of grass, but could not burn it. Returning to the demigods, Agni Deva said that I know who is this Yaksha. It is given in the Kenopanishad, this story. That means he realized that he has to be the supreme personality of Godhead. Otherwise, I can burn the whole world, I can burn anything and everything, but I am not able to burn this small little thing that is a blade of grass. That is what is the greatness of the Supreme Lord. And the answer to the next question, where do the Vedas say that the Supreme Lord is an ocean of nectar of transcendental mellows? That means he is asking, is there any description in the Vedas that the Supreme Lord, who is completely independent, appearing in this material world of his own volition? Now, to this, the answer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all transcendental mellows. When one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Krishna, he actually becomes transcendently blissful. That means we will become blissful only when we actually know or understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and nothing else. And who could breathe without the Lord giving breath? That means we cannot live, we cannot breathe, we cannot live here in this material world unless the Lord gives us the air. And how could we be happy without the Lord giving us happiness? If we think we are earning our happiness, we are doing this thing, I am doing this thing, I am doing that thing, that is not correct at all. Whatever is being given to us, it is being given by the mercy of the Lord and nothing else. And without his blessing, even a blade of grass does not grow in this material earth. And everything is happening with his desire. He is controlling everything, and it is he who gives transcendental bliss. Therefore, if we want transcendental bliss, we should pray to him, we should make him happy, and when he is happy, then the things will happen that way. And this is what is to be understood by the one and all, because this is the main thing. Then the third thing is, if he has a form of the nectar of bliss, why can't the jivas not see him? If he is Rasa Swarupa, Why can't the materialist see him or comprehend him? Like we know from various descriptions that when he came 5,000 years before, not that everybody saw him as the Lord Krishna. Many saw him as a common person. Somebody saw him as doing jadoo or magic. That's how he did so many impossible things like this. But very few of them would realize that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Why it is this? Now the reason is given that there are two kinds of condition, the jivas in this material world. One is faces Krishna, the other is turns his back on Krishna. One who faces Krishna means one who realizes that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. I am the servant of Krishna. I should serve him. I should make him happy. This is one person, and he is able to see the transcendental form of Krishna. Like Vishwadev, when he came 5,000 years back, Bhishma, he could see, the Pandavas could see, there are many others who could see, but those who turned their back on Krishna, like Duryodhana and the others, his friends, they could not see the supreme personality of Godhead in Krishna. And they cannot see Krishna's beauty, even though he is so beautiful, he will not look beautiful to them. Instead, he gazes on material sense objects and fixes his mind on thinking of material sense objects. The individuals, the jivas, they think whatever they sing in this material world, they are most beautiful. They are actually much more beautiful things in the demigods, their realm, in their loka, but much more than that is in the spiritual world. And the best is with Krishna and with his associates. Like nobody is more beautiful than Krishna. Nobody is more beautiful than the gopis and the gopas of Vrindavana, who spotted with him 5,000 years back. So this is the difference between the two people. Therefore, we should turn toward Krishna so that we will be able to see his transcendental form even today. And what is given in the Upanishad, let us see, a person eager for material pleasures cannot see the supreme personality of Godhead within his heart. Only a wise man who turns away from the world of matter can see the Lord with his heart. This is possible. It is not that every time the Lord will come himself and present himself physically in front of us, but he can appear in the heart. You can see, like Prahlad Maharaj, like Dhruva Maharaj, they used to see the Supreme Lord within their hearts. This can happen. This is given in the Upanishad. And that's why we should be very, very careful about the people who turn their back on Krishna. And then let us see, let us go on to question 42. Why do the Tantrika Brahmanas, they say that the potency of Lord Shiva is the Adya Shakti or the original Shakti, who is Maya Devi or Durga Devi? Now the answer is given here in this slide. Lord Shiva's Adya Shakti Durga Devi is Maya Shakti, who manifests the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Raja, Tamaguna. If you remember yesterday, Charu Prabhuji was explaining when the Lord Vishnu, that is the Karan Daksai Vishnu, is lying in the reclined bed in the Karana ocean, and then he glances. With that glance, all the jivas, they are impregnated into the material nature, that is Durga Devi's womb. And Durga Devi, thereafter what happens at that stage, all the three modes of material nature, they remain stand still. But after the glance of Mahavishnu, then they act with each other and they become different. That is Sattva, Rajas, and Tama. They come out from the material nature at that stage. And the next point is the Brahmanas in the Sattva Guna, they worship Maya Devi. And this will be more clear later on. Now, those in Rajoguna, they also worship goddess Maya, and so do they in Tamoguna, but worship her as goddess Vidya. Now, Maya imprisons and punishes in the material world those conditioned souls who are averse to Lord Krishna, who turn their back toward Krishna. They are punished by the Maya Devi, not those who are the devotees of Krishna, not those who are taking the name of Krishna. But still then, as given in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Maya Durattaya, it is very difficult to get over this Maya Devi. That's why with single-minded attention, we should turn toward Krishna so that Maya Devi cannot look at us. Now the next what is given, they cannot see Maya as a reflection in the material world of the Lord's internal potency, Yoga Maya. In the material world, Maya is seen as a reflection of Yoga Maya. That means whatever is seen here in the material world, that is not real. That's what it is, a reflection only. Then, however, Maya frees those serving Lord Krishna by placing them in the Sattva Guna and gives them knowledge of the Lord. Sattvam Sanjayata Jnanam, Satyam Yad Brahma Darsanam. That means when we come to the Sattva Guna, at that level, we will be able to realize the Supreme Lord. That means the Brahmanas in the Sattva Guna, they also worship Maya Devi. Maya Devi means that is the Mahamaya. There are two, Mahamaya and the Yoga Maya. And their jobs are different. The Mahamaya bewilders the people who are averse to Krishna. And the Yoga Maya has influence in the spiritual world. Yoga Maya even influences Lord Krishna. That we have seen so many examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. And the last point here given in the slide, it is these who claim Maya is Lord Shiva's Adya Shakti. Although bewildered by Maya, they reach the right conclusion provided they have performed many pious deeds. One who has not will not. That means even those they think that Maya is Shiva's Adya Shakti, that is Durga Devi, at the end also they also reach the right place, because that is what is the process of reaching the Supreme Lord, and that can happen only if they have done pious deeds. That means if they had sadhu sangha in their previous life or even in this life. Then let us go on to the next slide. It is question number 43. Who is Durga Devi among Lord Krishna's servants in Gokula? Now, we know that in Gokula, Durga Devi was also born, and Kamsa tried to kill her, but she went away and warned Kamsa that the one who is to kill you has already taken birth. That story. Who is that? That is Durga Devi of Gokula. Now she is the Yoga Maya. She is the Yoga Maya potency of the Supreme Lord, the seed that grows into the changed forms accepted by the Chitta Shakti, that is spiritual potency. She stays in the spiritual world, and there she is identical with the Lord's internal potency. This has to be understood. Though Kamsa saw her as Maya Devi or Durga Devi, but actually she is the Yoga Maya potency of the Supreme Lord, and she is identical with the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. And the next point is, it is by Yogamaya's power that the Lord's Chit Shakti is reflected in the material world as Maya or Durga, or you can say Mahamaya. Hence, there are two Durga Devis, one in the spiritual world, one in the material world. Not that physically they are two, it is one only, but there are two forms. One functions in the spiritual realm and one in the material world. Now, the Durga Devi or Yogamaya of the spiritual world now also arranges the Lord's Rasa Leela pastimes and assists Lord Krishna's spiritual pastimes by convincing the gopis that they were married to other gopas and Krishna is their paramount, that is the Parakiya Bhava. This we have seen in very, very great detail in our previous courses. They were actually not married, but they were thinking that they were married, so that the Parakiya Bhava comes into their heart and they enjoy this rasa. That was the reason, and it was done by the Yogamaya potency of the Supreme Lord. And these activities that superficially appear to be situated in ignorance, they are useful to make the nectar of Krishna's spiritual pastimes sweeter. These are required for Lord Krishna's pastimes when he comes in the material world, and they are all arranged by Yogamaya. This we have seen in very, very great detail. And the second is Durga Devi, Yogamaya of the material world. She bewilders the people who are averse to Krishna. Let us go on to the next slide. Next is question number, these are the various questions we'll be discussing after the break. In very brief, the questions. 38 is how the Vedas describe the Lord's reservoir of spiritual nectar or raso vaiso. And then 39, 40, what method may human being adopt to understand Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is very difficult to know how to please him. Then question number 41, what do the Vedas say about Krishna's spiritual abodes? 44 to 46, why do the Vaishnavas refer Sridham Navadvip Dhama, and what is the truth about Navadvip Dhama and its size? All these things we'll know in that when we discuss. Then question number 47 to 49, does the Lord's internal potency arrange for Lord Gauranga's pastimes? We came to know that the internal pastimes, they arrange the pastimes of Krishna. But is it true for Lord Gauranga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? If he is the original form of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then how should one worship him? And if he is the hidden incarnation, Channa Avatara, described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, aren't there any mantras to worship him? That we will learn. And question number 50 is, how does one worship the divine couple Sri Radha and Krishna while one is engaged in worshipping Lord Gauranga? All these things we'll be discussing after the break. Let us have a 5-minute break. I'll remind you after 5 minutes, because as I told you, the due to some technical reason, the Microsoft is not working in my new computer. Hare Krishna. Well, we'll start from where we left before the break. Now comes question number 38. Avideya Tattva, the science of devotional service. There are three questions discussed here, 38, 39, and 40. How do the Vedas describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Rasa Vaisa, or the reservoir of spiritual nectar? And now the answer is given in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad. We have already gone through in very great detail. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is none other than a cowherd boy in Vrindavana. His eyes are handsome, beautiful lotus flowers. His complexion is dark like monsoon cloud, and his garments lightning yellow. And he has two arms, who is rich in transcendental knowledge and wears a garland of forest flowers. In very, very brief, in very short, this is what is the description of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And basically, he is a cowherd boy here, and this is the two-handed form of Lord Krishna. Whereas Vasudeva Krishna, that is a four-handed form. And as we know, the gopis, they only like the two-handed form also. That's why the story you have heard, when once Krishna tried to appear in his four-handed form, they did not give him any importance till he was forced to change to his two-handed form. And that is his original form in which he exists. And that is what is the rasa. And the beauty of Lord Krishna can be described very, very brilliantly. They are described in many shastras. Now, question number 39. What is the method to understand Lord Krishna, as it is so difficult to know him? We know that even the rishis and the previous acharyas, they have been trying to understand him, but their understanding is very, very little. Why it is so? That's what the question is. Now the answer is, only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can attain perfect eternal peace. This is given in the Kathopanishad. That is, all those persons who have transcended beyond the material nature, they are only able to see the Supreme Lord, and they can only attain the perfect peace, and eternal peace, and nobody else. And this is the only thing to know. And this, as we know, this is very, very difficult. That's why no ordinary person can know or understand the Supreme Lord. For that, we have to practice devotional service. We have to chant the name of the Lord. We have to associate with devotees and get disassociated with all the material imperfections which we have. Then only we will reach that stage to see the Lord Krishna. And question number 40. What is the method to see the Supreme Lord within the hearts to attain eternal peace? How we can see him? The answer given by Babaji Mahasaya. The Supreme Lord is not attained by expert explanations, by our oratory or our explanations or our reading or anything. He is not impressed by that, by vast intelligence or not by even hearing. He is not impressed by this. That means we cannot reach or attain the Lord. We cannot understand him by these methods. He is attained only by one who he himself chooses. That means it requires that is the Lord Krishna's mercy only, nothing else. If we think with our own efforts, we will be able to understand him, we will be able to see him. This cannot happen. It can only happen with his mercy, if he is pleased. So that our job is to please him. to such a person, he manifests his own form. He will manifest his own form when we are ready. Otherwise, he will not. That's why we have to please him. And if he gets pleased, he will come before us. He will come in our heart and we'll be able to see him, realize him, understand him. And the next point is, my Lord, if one is favored even by a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. Here also the same thing is being spoken. The favor of the Supreme Lord is required, his mercy is required. But those who speculate, like the Jnanis, to understand him are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many, many years. This is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 29th verse, 14th chapter, if you remember. Here, Lord Brahma is saying this. That means, if we want to know him, we have to have Lord Krishna's mercy only. And his mercy can come if we please him. And we can please him by things he gets pleased. That is, he gets pleased if we please the sadhus, because they are his representatives. Let us go to next three questions, 41, 44, 45. Now, the Avideya Tattva, to realize the Lord's abodes. Now, question number 41, is anything in the Vedas describing the Lord's spiritual abode? As we know, the Supreme Lord lives in Golak Vrindavana or the Vrindavan Dhama or in the Vaikuntha Dhama like this. Is it given in the Vedas? Now the answer is being given. In the eternal spiritual sky, the demigods and the Vedic hymns serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What will he, who does not know him, do with the Vedic hymns? They who know him have attained the goal of life. That means the Vedas, it is given in the Svetasvatara Upanishad that yes, it is right. The Vedas that speak about the spiritual abode of Lord Krishna, where the demigods and the Vedic hymns, they serve the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord says in stage in the effulgent spiritual world, given in the Mundaka Upanishad, there is no sun there. It is self-effulgent. There is no requirement of any sun or moon to illuminate the spiritual world. It is ever illuminated. And in the spiritual world, then the Gokula, the circle of Mathura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead stays with Sri Radha and Chandravali at his sides. This is given in the Purushabodhini Stuti. As we already know that in Golaka, the Golaka Vrindavana, there is a place, there is a portion known as Gokula, and there is a place known as Mathura. In that area only, and the Lord Krishna stays with Radha, Chandravali, and the other gopis. And that means all these things, what we know, they are given in the Shastras. Then question number 44, why do the Vaishnavas call Navadipa as Sri Dhama? We say the Sri Dham Mayapur. Now Navadipa Dhama and Sri Vrindavan Dhama are non-different. We have been told earlier in many courses also, there is no difference. And to see them as different is aparadha. This also should be understood. And Sri Mayapur, the highest spiritual abode of the holiest place, is to Sri Navadipa. What is Sri Gokula is to Braja. That means Gokula, what the relationship between Gokula and Braja and Vrindavan and Mayapur, they are the same. That means they are both, there is none different. And the second is, as the Supreme Lord's incarnation is hidden in Kali Yuga, given in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, so as his abode is Navadipa. A person who understands the spiritual nature of Navadipa becomes qualified to reside in the spiritual world of Braja. That means if you want to stay in the spiritual world, you have to understand this, that there is no difference between Navadipa and Vrindavana. And to material eyes, both these abodes remain material. One needs to have spiritual vision to realize the truth of the holy abodes. That means these are spiritual only, but for to a material person who is affected by matter, he will see the material things in this only. Then question number 45, what is the truth about the Navadipa Dhama? Golak, Vrindavana and Svetadipa are the names of the innermost places in the spiritual world, and they are none different. Unlike Golaka, where the Lord's Sukhiya pastimes are enacted, in the Vrindavana, his Parakiya pastimes are manifested. And the transcendental mellows or rasas that are not revealed in Vrindavana have been revealed in Navadipa. When a person becomes qualified, he is able to taste the sweetness of this mellows. That means both these dhammas are different, and we have to have the spiritual vision. Then only we will see what is the thing happening both in Vrindavana and Navadipa. Then we go to the next slide. Here we will see 46 and 47. 46 is what is the size of Navadipa Dhama. Now the circumference of Navadipa is 32 miles, and it is an 8-petal lotus flower. A soul who performs sadhana bhakti in Navadipa Dhama, especially in Mayapur, quickly attains the perfection of Krishna Prema. The most fortunate people are able to see Lord Gauranga enjoying his eternal pastimes in the holy Dhama, and it is happening even today. But with our material eyes, we cannot see. But if we get elevated, we will be able to see that also. Then does Lord's internal potency arrange for Gauranga's pastimes? Yes. There is not a slightest difference between Lord Krishna's and Lord Gauranga's internal potency. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves eternally. Now, these are two transcendental identities have again united, that is in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Sri Krishna himself, given in the Adilila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. This also we are very, very clear. Then the next we'll go to question number 48, 49 and 50. If Gauranga is the original form of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then how should one worship him? Just as one worships Sri Krishna by chanting his names and mantras, so one should worship Lord Gauranga as well with his names and mantras. One may worship Sri Krishna with Lord Gauranga's names or mantras and vice versa. They are all the same. With the mantras of the Gauranga, you can worship Krishna, and with the mantras of Krishna, you can worship Gauranga. There is no difference. Then question number 49. If Lord Chaitanya is the hidden Channa avatar incarnation given in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how there are so many mantras to worship him? Now, the answer is the tantras that openly give mantras for worshipping the openly manifested incarnations of the Lord, they secretly reveal the mantras for worshipping the hidden incarnations of the Lord. People whose intelligence is not crooked can understand the presence of these mantras in our Shastras only, but everybody cannot understand. That is what is being said. Then question number 50. How does one worship the divine couple Sri Radha Krishna while one is engaged in the worship of Lord Gauranga? Now there are two ways to worship the divine couple while one is engaged in worshipping Lord Gauranga. One is, the first is Archana Marga, or deity worship. One worship Gaura and Vishnu Priya. Vishnu Priya is the consort of Gauranga. And second is by Bhajan Marga, or practice of devotional service. One worship Gaura Gadadhara. This is the difference between these two processes, by Archana Marga and Bhajan Marga. Bhajan Marga, Gaura Gadadhara, and by Archana Marga, Gaura Vishnu Priya. Let us see the next question, 51. Which potency of the Lord Gauranga is Sri Vishnu Priya? Is she the Lord's internal potency? Now, while some say she is the Lord's Bhusakti, truthfully she is the Samavit Sakti with an essence of Hladini Sakti. This means that she is the goddess of devotion, Bhakti Devi. During Lord Gauranga's advent, she comes to assist him to preach the glories of the holy name. That means there is no doubt that she is the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. And as the 9 islands of Sri Navadvipa Dharma represents Navada Bhakti, so does Sri Vishnu Priya, the Navada Bhakti personified. And question number 52. Do we then understand Sri Vishnu Priya as Lord's internal potency? Undoubtedly. Isn't the internal potency, that is the Swarupa Sakti, the same as Samvit Sakti, accompanied by the essence of Hladini Sakti? So this is what is the direct answer. It is so. And then question number 53, these are the last 3 questions asked by Prajanatha. Question number 53. Now, the 2 groups of 3 potencies form the internal potencies of Sri Krishna, the spiritual world, bodies, relationships, pastimes. They are all manifested by the potencies of the Lord Krishna and by nothing else. And what does Lord Krishna himself do? Now, if there is a being beyond the influence of the potencies, won't that be the impersonal Brahman as described in the Upanishads? This is the question. And if the next question is, if the fact that Krishna has desire and enjoyments of being the masculine nature, then how it is that Radha has desire and still has a feminine nature? Now let us understand this. From the internal potency, Sri Radha are manifested through 2 groups of potencies, which we learned yesterday also. The 3 potencies, that is the Kriya Sakti potency or the potency of action. From this, his Chit Sakti or Antaranga Sakti, his Jiva Sakti, that is the Tatvastha Sakti, and Maya Sakti or the Bahiranga Sakti. And also in 3 different ways, the Hladini Sakti, Sandhini Sakti, and the Samavit Sakti. And now the answer to question number 53, what does Krishna do himself? Now Krishna's supreme independence and his desire are not manifest by his potencies. He can do anything he wishes without doing anything. He is the master of his potencies, which is hard to condition souls to understand. And that's why it is known as inconceivable. However, a devotee who has attained the love for him, that is the loving devotional service, can understand that he is the supreme master and he is well beyond the influence of his potencies. And Bhakti Devi, which is one of his potencies, is feminine. She can make one directly perceive the masculine nature of Krishna. This is possible because Bhakti Devi, who is the internal potency of the Lord, if she is pleased with us and with her blessings, we will be able to understand Krishna. Then let us understand the other questions. If there is a being beyond the influence of the potencies, won't that be the impersonal Brahman is described in the Upanishads? Now, the impersonal Brahman has no desires. The Purusha described in the Upanishad is Lord Krishna only. He is the supreme male who is filled with desires as he is the supreme enjoyer. That is what is the answer. And the potencies that allow us to see Krishna is also Krishna himself, as he is none different from his potencies. That means earlier we learned that there is no difference between Krishna's body, soul, or anything, because it is Krishna, Krishna only. Whereas in us, the individual bodies, the material bodies, they are different. Now, Krishna is the beloved of Sri Radha, his pleasure potency, who is feminine, who serves him, so does Krishna to serve. to Radha. That means Krishna serves Radha and Radha serves Krishna. Now then the next question is, if the fact that Krishna has the desires and the enjoyments of being in masculine nature, then how it is that Radha has the desires and still a feminine nature? Now Sri Radha's desires are subordinate to Krishna's desire. Actually, her own desire is Krishna's very pleasure. That is what is the main difference. She does not have any independent desire to enjoy. Her only desire is to please Krishna all the times. So with this, I come to an end of today's class. And now the session is open for question and answers. Please bear with me that because the material is so vast, I have gone fast toward the end. But you must have understood everything, because many of the things we have discussed in our previous courses and many courses. So that's why it must be very easy for you to understand. Hare Krishna. Now I invite questions or comments from the participants.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, the material that talks about Yoga Maya and the Maha Maya, I thought is Durga Devi. Now Yoga Maya in the slide says that she's also two types of Durga Devis. So I'm a little bit confused. Like we usually address Maha Maya as Durga Devi. So can you please elaborate on that, Prabhuji, so that there is some clarity that goes in my head?
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
It is very simple. What you said is very correct. Mahamaya is Durga Devi. There is no doubt. And her realm of influence is the material world. And in the spiritual world, it is Yoga Maya. And like when Krishna was there, if Krishna is there, that is the spiritual world. With the gopis, with the gopas, with everybody, Yogamaya was influencing them. That's why, because of Yogamaya's influence, the gopis, they did not know that they are not actually married. They were not married, but they thought they are married to somebody else. So that was happening because of Yogamaya. But we are affected by Mahamaya. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you are on mute,
Your mic
Prabhuji.
is off, Prabhuji. Mic is off.
Yeah, Mataji is asking very good question because here Babaji is referring to Durga Devis, but basically what it is actually, one is the spiritual Durga Devi, another is material Durga Devi. The spiritual Durga Devi is Yoga Maya, but the material Durga Devi is actually the expansion of Yoga Maya herself, but it's a reflection of that. So it is because to function the material world, and so the Mahamaya, that's what we call, that is Durga Devi, is for those people, conditioned souls, to bewilder them because they have this material interest, material pursuits. So basically, she's serving the role. She is a devotee of Lord Krishna. Both are Yoga Mayas, but one form of Yoga Maya, which functions the material world to bewilder the conditioned soul, is what we call Mahamaya. But she is also Durga Devi. Now, the spiritual form of Yoga Maya, she is the spiritual world. But when Krishna comes to this world, material world, especially in Vrindavan, Vraja, we saw in Gopala Champu, right? She arranges all the Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, Rasa Leela and everything else. And she also bewilders all the gopis. Remember, gopis were put into that illusion that they were married to other gopas, but actually in reality, they were not married actually, because they descended from spiritual world where they are in the Swakya Bhav, okay? They are the married wives of Krishna in Golok Vrindavan Dham, in Golok spiritual world. When they are in the Vraja, Krishna wanted to enjoy this Parakya Bhav. That's why this Yogamaya the spiritual Yoga Maya arranges that way. And we saw in Gopala Champu, actually toward the very end of Gopala Champu, we saw the secret was revealed, that how she bewildered, because what she did, she wanted to counter the threat posed by Kamsa, who sent that sage. What's the name of the sage? Prabhuji, yaad nahi aa raha hai. I forgot the name of the sage.
Gargamuni.
Gargamuni, Gargamuni
And
Prabhu.
Gargamuni threatened to Danda Baba that if you marry Krishna and the gopis, then it'll be a terrible consequences will be there, because Krishna will have to go to Mathura and they will be all deserted, So to counter that, temporarily Yogamaya created that impression, temporarily married these gopis, including Radharani, to other gopas. And there were some class of unmarried gopis also that we saw in Gopala Champu. So that she revealed toward the end. In fact, she presented herself. She came there. She asked Nanda Baba to arrange a meeting in the town, and she came there and she presented the Durga Devi herself, her expansion, and how did she do that? Everything was revealed. So this were two functioning of the Durga Devi. One is spiritual Durga Devi. Both are Yoga Mayas, okay? But the form that Durga Devi we have in material world is her reflection, abhasa, okay? It's only for the bewildering, the conditioned soul who are averse to serving Krishna. But when Krishna and the devotees are here in order to participate their splendid, sweet pastimes, she bewilders gopis. She even bewildered Krishna. Let himself be bewildered by her own Yoga Maya. Okay, so he can participate in this kind of pastimes, sweet pastimes. So that is the secret. Both are Yoga Maya, but one Yoga Maya is not the original one. Expansion in actually is a reflection only in the material world. Everything in material world is a perverted form of the original. Everything, whatever we see in material world is also there in spiritual world, but in a perverted form. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, what does it say? When you have a tree on the bank of a river and you look in the river, you see upside down, right? So that's why upside down, perverted, distorted form that we see in this material world. So that's why to Durga Devi, there's only one Yoga Maya. One is the original who comes here along with Krishna. And remember, she took a birth exactly when Krishna appeared. Krishna appeared not just to Devaki. Devaki's son appeared actually Vishnu form, four-arm form, because Devaki and Vasudevji prayed in their previous birth that four-arm Lord Vishnu form be their son, right? But the original Krishna, who is present in Golok Vrindavan Dham, appeared as the son of Yashoda Maya. So when Vasudevji brought that four-arm form into Gokula in the night, when Yashoda Maya also was unconscious, giving birth, she gave a birth of Krishna as well as Durga Devi, Yoga Maya. And that time when Vasudeva, who brought the expansion, the four-arm form, the Chaturviya form, merged with that Krishna, Raj Krishna. Okay, so Vasudeva could not see the original Krishna. Okay, what he saw, the baby girl, that was Durga Devi, that's Yoga Maya form, and that what he brought in the prison. So when Kans wanted to kill, when he found out the 8th child of Devaki, she delivered not a son as it was announced before, but she delivered a girl. So he wanted to kill her also, but then she escaped from his arms and said that your killer is already been appeared somewhere else. Oh, stupid one, you don't even know that, So see, that is a secret. Not many people know that. Only in the Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures we see the full revelation of that secret that we covered in other courses.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji. Thank you, Chachandra Prabhuji, for explaining nicely.
Mataji, I want to congratulate you that particular that poem that Lahari Masha created and you composed, gave a tune. That was really splendid. I loved it really very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm sorry for the delay. You had asked long time ago.
No,
but
it's okay. No, but you did it. You did it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for the opportunity. And I also have one question. On one other slide, it says
Yeah.
the people who are in Sattva Guna worship Maya,
Sharad Prabhuji,
and they are sorry, Prabhuji.
they are one and the same, but one is in a reflected form, and she
Yes,
works for the material world, for the conditioned soul, bewildering conditioned soul.
Yes,
And
Prabhuji.
when the conditioned soul comes to the bhakti marg, then she herself actually gives right kind of knowledge that we saw today, and she brings back to Krishna. So she is serving the role of a devotee to Krishna.
So it says that the
So originally
conditioned
they are
soul
both
is-
yogamayas.
Yes, Prabhuji. But it said that there were two blocks in it. The first block said the conditioned soul in Sattva Guna worships Maya Devi. The conditioned soul in Tamo Guna or Rajoguna worships Goddess Vidya. Now, Goddess Vidya, you mean Goddess Saraswati or Goddess Vidya is different?
No, the Vidya actually she gives the Tamo Guna is actually the mode of ignorance, right?
Yes,
But there the ignorance, she gives the Vidya so that they can come to Krishna conscious platform. Okay, so that actually when I was doing this thing, I wanted to put Vidya in a quote unquote form actually, but then I thought that might confuse all of you. So I left it as it is given in the book. But that Vidya, mode of goodness, she provides to those ignorant people. Originally they were ignorant, Tamo Guna, and then she brings them to come to the Sattva Guna, and she arranges a devotee coming into the place. So it's all by the arrangement of Krishna. So she's serving the role of a devotee to Krishna.
So Goddess Vidya is
so Saraswati, what we call Saraswati, is actually that is also serving the Lord. Actually. Saraswati, there are two kinds of knowledge she gives, right? Material knowledge also Saraswati gives, but she can also give spiritual knowledge also. She serves Krishna too, So the right kind of knowledge she gives, but then the spiritual knowledge is all pure mode of goodness. So that Vidya, that Saraswati, that's what you call, is actually served by Yogamaya to giving them back to Krishna. Because Krishna, one of the 6 questions of Naimisharanya sage, why did Krishna appear here as the son of Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya? So that Krishna came to reclaim his devotees who are stuck in this material world. So to qualify them, first he needed to qualify them. And how did he qualify them? By enacting those sweet pastimes. Simply hearing those sweet pastimes, we come to mode of goodness, an ultimately pure mode of goodness. And that's how we become qualified to go back. So in the next cycle of creation, Mahavishnu doesn't have to put back in the womb of Durga Devi.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanat Pranam. A lot of material to cover, and Prabhuji covers so nicely. But we need to understand.
See, in the time constraint, in a very limited period of time,
yes,
we have to give you this complex philosophy. It is a challenge actually,
Yes, Prabhuji.
and so much material. Remember, it is because the mind mapping, I could give all this information. If I put a regular slides, it'd be like 50, 100 slides. So much amount of information is really pushed, squeezed into each of the slides.
So, Prabhuji,
But
you tried.
But I presented the slide in such a way. There's the trick of mind mapping. So can immediately you guess the whole picture in one mind map.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's so nice. So, Prabhuji, I'm just trying to understand that basically Ladini Shakti, Samvit, and Sandhini Shakti, they are also impact different. Like a Jivas act one way, then Maya, acts another way. So where you see that Jiva and Maya, basically how it differentiates. I saw that conclusions, given in a separate bucket, because the Maya, ultimately Jiva is under the influence of Maya, right, Prabhuji?
No, no, the basic thing you forgetting. The basic we learn in many courses now. It's being repeated over and over again. There is a internal potency, Swarupa Shakti, Chitta Shakti. Okay, that is the one hand, and then the other hand, external potency. That is Maya, Durga Devi. Okay, and we, the Jiva Shakti. Okay, we are in between. That's what we call Tatastha Shakti. In fact, and the Tatastha, where did the name come? Let me explain you that name. Tatastha. In Sanskrit, Tata is called the bank of a river, right? Where the water and the land area, that is the bank of river. Okay, and there's a very fine line between water and the land. So this Jiva is also compared with that. Tata, bank, two regions are separated. Stha, situated in that. So the Jivas are situated in between, a very fine line. If you cross the other line, then towards Krishna, internal potency, take charge of him. And if you cross this line, other side, then you come unto the Mahamaya control. So that's why this Tata, they are like a pendulum swinging two hands, continuously moving back and forth. On this side, Krishna's internal potency is there. The other side is Mahamaya is there. And he's just swinging back and forth. Only when he has the sadhu sangha and comes to the bhakti platform, then he becomes stabilized on the bhakti side of it. But he can be easily attracted towards Maya also. Durga Devi is constantly after him. If you can chant, but if you forget to chant one day or something, you immediately get caught. The great sannyasis fall down. Why? It's because of that. So constant sadhu sangha is the lifeline. If you associate with the devotees, they constantly protect you because Krishna's mercy is flowing from them, through them. Krishna does not give directly, very rarely he ever gives, but his mercy flows through these confidential devotees, advanced devotees, who constantly protect you because they constantly give you bhajana kriya. They make sure that your face is not turned away from Krishna, all the time towards Krishna. So as long as Krishna's internal potency is working, Mahamaya dare not come to interfere that. She is very careful about that. She will never touch, affect a devotees. Only devotee herself turns his face away from Krishna, then she has a chance to catch him.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Harish.
Somebody may have a question that we are chanting, we are taking the name of the Lord, we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, but still then why Mayadevi has influence on us? This is because we are not doing it 24 hours without any stop. There are stoppages. If we think only 16 rounds, then throughout the day I will do something else, then Mayadevi during that time, she will attack us. Any other question? Yeah, we have got a lot of time.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
प्रभुजी जो हेवनली डेमिगॉड्स होते हैं उनको प्राइड क्यों आता है इतना? हमेशा वो उनका फाइट रहता है, प्राइड आ जाता है, तो भगवान को हमेशा उनको समझाना पड़ता है, तो उनको बार बार प्राइड क्यों आ जाता है प्रभुजी डेमिगॉड्स के?
Saraswati, you want to answer or?
What Mataji is asking, why they keep on committing mistakes?
Indra,
उनको
give the
प्राइड
example
आता है
of Indra.
प्रभुजी.
Indra, and all these things.
Yeah, because you see the demigods, their main job is to enjoy. They forget, yes, they are the servants of the Lord, they are the devotees, but they forget that because their enjoyment is their primary thing. That's why, like Indra, he fought with Krishna when he had gone to take the Parijata tree, and thereafter again he came and bewildered him. He tried to harm him. Like again and again to do the same mistakes. It is because of that their mentality to enjoy. That is the main thing.
Actually, the other way of looking at it, Raksha Mataji, is really by providing, they are the great devotees of the Lord. Don't forget, demigods are very pious souls. Because of pious credits, they are there. And Indra is actually appointed indirectly by Krishna himself, actually. So basically, they are providing the example to teach us, conditioned souls in this earthly planet, to learn from what they are doing. So just like Arjuna was put into momentary illusion, so these demigods, Krishna's way of providing examples to teach us, really, basically,
So this
Indra
is
does
also
come.
Leela Prabhuji, like
Indra does commit many, not once, twice, repeatedly he committed many such horrible things. Remember, Ahalya, the wife of Gautama Rishi, he seduced her. Remember, by taking posing as Gautama Rishi himself. So it was not Ahalya's fault at all, not a slightest fault. But still, Ahalya had to was punished by her husband, and we saw all the story in Ramayana, right? So these are all examples to teach us what could happen. Power, sudden power, and great wealth, they pollute. Kanch, Kamini, and Pratishta. They pollute anybody. Nobody is free from Maya. Even Narad Muni, the greatest devotee of the Lord, he once wanted to taste Krishna's Maya. He told Krishna that I want to at least try to see what is your Maya is. And Krishna warned him, don't do that. In spite of this. So, okay. Then what happened? He suddenly attended a Swayamvara of a king, and he was attracted to that girl and he wanted to marry, but he knew with his beauty he would not be able to. So he wanted to make sure. So he went back to Lord Vishnu and said, give me your beauty for me. I want to borrow. And Lord Vishnu warned him, don't do that, And still, and of course, what happened actually, the whole story, right? He took the form, but Krishna gave him that I'll give you what is best for you. And he did not understand that. Actually, Krishna gave a monkey face. And when he went to Swayamvara, he became a laughing stock, right? And then when he realized, he cursed the Lord that you fooled me, but the same monkey faces, monkey forms will come to your aid. And that becomes Hanumanji, right? And because he was bragging towards Lord Shiva told him that don't brag. He said, oh, I won the Kamadev. You know the whole story. So this is what happened. Even Narad Muni himself was not immune. He was a Bala Brahmachari. He is in fact the Bhakti incarnation of the Lord. Bhakti Swarupa is called actually Narad Muni. So Mahamaya of Krishna, nobody is immune to it. Only by the mercy of the Lord we can protect ourselves. Am I correct, Sharad Prabhuji?
Yes.
That story.
Yes.
It's a very
thank you,
famous
Prabhuji,
story,
so much. Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, there are some like Markandeya Muni who wants to see how the potency works, whereas some like the Sukadeva Goswami did not come out of the mother's womb for 12 years because he was afraid of Maya. So these are all things we learn from all these great people. So if there are no questions, then we are coming toward the end of our session. Any more question? Well, if there are no other questions, then we'll have the Nrsinga prayers by the Sagar Prabhuji, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance. All go to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhai. Namaste Narasimhai. Praladaladaini. Praladaladaini. Hiranyikasi Purvaksahar. Hiranyikasi Purvaksahar. Chilatankar Nathale. Chilatankar Nathale. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha, Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha. Ite yami, Ito Narsingha, Ite yami, Ito Narsingha. By Narsingha, Vidaye Narsingha, by Narsingha, Vidaye Narsingha. Narasimhamadin Saranam Prapade. Narasimhamadin Saranam Prapade. Tavakala Kamala Bhare. Nakhadbhuta Singham Dhalita Hiranyakasipur Tanubringam. Kesavadita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Tava Kala Kamala Bhare. Nakhadbhuta Singham Dhalita Hiranyakasipur Tanubringam. Kesavadita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, चारु प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, ऑल assembled devotee की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण शरद प्रभु, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All glories to all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Then we meet next weekend for 3 lessons, 21, 22, 23. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Charu Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Hare
Saraswati
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Dandut
Krishna,
pranam to all.
Prabhuji. Dandut pranam. Hare Krishna to all
Thank you,
devotees.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji. Thank you, Charuchandra Prabhuji. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful explanation.
Janmashtami
Thank
wishes
you.
to all. Yeah.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, and happy Janmashtami.
Hare Krishna. Everybody. Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.